Wounded Eros. Oh man. Folks, if you caught my live stream or if you follow me on Twitter, you know I don't really have much to say about this episode. It just did a bunch of the same repetitive mistakes that episode 2 did. And you all know how I didn't like episode 2 to the point I even did a separate video that week saying that filler episodes can be dangerous due to the fact that, yeah, it's understandable that every show is going to have filler, but in order to fill the runtime, typically what writers do is have characters reiterate a point that, has already been made multiple times. Even sadder is when they regurgitate information that was in the previous episode. And yeah, I know it's like, well, Jeremy, just because like Danny and Sabrina talk about something doesn't mean Sabrina and Andy can't talk about that same thing because Andy didn't know about it in the last episode. I understand that. But when you have two characters having the same conversation as the previous episode and no new characters are added to the conversation in the follow-up, it's ridiculous. I think that there are two major things that made this episode truly stink. And it's reflected in my score. There were a few moments that I actually really liked. That's why the episode gets a 4 out of 10 rather than a 3 or whatever I gave episode 2. I know that was a low score, but to be five episodes in isn't a lot. But when you think about it, next week is episode 6, meaning that next week is the halfway point to the mid-season finale. And I didn't figure this out until I saw somebody mention this either on Twitter or during my live stream last night. But I think one of the reasons that this season feels so slow, because I want you to do something for me real quick. Just mentally go back. Regardless of how you felt about season 7, if you look back at those first 5 episodes of season 7 and compare them to the first 5 episodes of season 8, I think the majority would say that season 7 had a stronger start than season 8. And I think one of the major reasons behind that is due to the fact that things were happening a bit too fast for some. I think episode 1 was the introduction to where we would jump around from various scenes as opposed to staying in the same place for like 20 minutes or something like that. But somebody said that, man, do you realize we just had 5 episodes and we're in the same day? It didn't hit me until I thought about it. I'm like, whoa, you're right. Because episode 1, the interrogation. Remember, these interrogation scenes took place in the morning. Episode 2, the characters at their respective homes getting ready to go for work because they just got out of the police station. Episode 3, despite everybody saying that they had to go to work, they all went over to the penthouse and they spent what seemed like hours talking to Andy. At the end of the episode, they all left to go to their jobs. Episode, 4 was everybody getting there. And then last night's episode, well, it was around lunchtime. Fatima went back to the house for lunch. Sabrina said she couldn't do lunch with Rich because she was busy, but then went to the restaurant to go get Danny. So we can assume it's around afternoon time right now in the show. So 5 episodes, and in terms of the time frame of the series, it's only been a few hours. And yeah, this could definitely explain a few things. That's not to say that even though season 7 had, multiple days between episodes, so to speak, some days we cover like 3 days, or some episodes we cover 3 days within a 40-minute time period. It would still feel slow to some, but that passage of time at least made it feel like we were going somewhere. But we just keep regurgitating the same information. We're stretching out scenes. We did not, and I mean this, we did not need to have as many scenes at the salon as we did in this episode. I think we had 3 different moments where we're at the salon and we hear the chanting, roots to riches, rest your edges, yada, yada, yada. Basically, she wants the $4,000 or she's suing. 3 times. And the craziest part about this is the fact that every time we went over to the salon, we just did the same thing. The women were chanting. Karen would lash out at Pam. Pam would be like, girl, well, it's too late for that now. What are we going to do? And then Trey would show up. And then Marie showed up. But it's crazy how every time a conversation got started, the mob would literally stop chanting. But then the moment is like, what are we going to do? Roots to riches, recreations. I'm like, really? We did not need to do this 3 different times. So this review, I'm going to do like I usually do. I'll talk about all the scenes as a collective. Like, hey, every scene relating to Danny, I'll talk about it at once. Every scene related to Fatima, I'll talk about it at once. And we'll go from there. But I will say that slap, I mean, that was one heck of a way to promote the episode. But this was honestly the only thing about the episode worth talking about. I mean, it's like I titled my video during my live stream last night, a vicious slap cannot save a boring filler episode. Because if they did not promote the slap, I have no doubt in my mind this episode would have just tanked ratings wise. But they did a good thing yesterday around, what was it, 1:30? They dropped the clip and that got people talking and that had us tuning in. But man, how many times can that trick work? That's all I'm saying. Okay, so where do I want to start? All right, so it turns out Gary had a seizure. Man, this is crazy, because then Dr. Reed said that they needed to think of new Dr. Reeds, because they already got the Dr. Reed from Zatima. Now they got a Dr. Reed at the hospital. But yeah, didn't he mention that after he was brought into the hospital and undergoing surgery, didn't Gary either have a stroke or a heart attack? And he technically died on the table, but he came back to life. He resuscitated, and now he had a seizure. And, in the midst of Andy learning about the condition, Hudson, yells about being, power of attorney. And despite being the fiance, Andy has no legal rights. So what was it? HIPAA? I forgot which one it was. Look, I know when I was working at the college, I know HIPAA or HIPAA. One of them is medical. The other one is like education. I forgot. I know somebody's going to correct me in the comments, but let's be real. I don't care about what term it was, because I'm like, this episode was meh. But in any case, Hudson makes it clear that, regardless as to what you say or do, you aren't going to know anything. Because in order to avoid the hospital suffering a lawsuit, they can't tell Andy anything else. So basically, Hudson and Andy have their exchange where Hudson calls out the whole Robin situation. It's like, what? You went into the room with the man and he had a seizure. You just want to stay around until he's dead? I mean, so? And then Andy puts on a bit of a performance like, no matter what you do, you won't stop me from seeing my fiance. And the way that she was just looking around, like if somebody looked or noticed, it's like, oh, wow, Andy, come on now. This was as awkward and funny as that scream. Ah! She did it when she found Gary at the end of season 7. But, Hudson already knows that this is just a Robin ploy. He's like, oh, yeah, I know. What is it? Your lawyer boyfriend told you to come over here and put on a show like you care. Yeah, like anybody's going to believe that, Andy. And it's like, well, no, Robin is just that, a colleague. And it's like, well, I'm pretty sure Hudson probably heard from Gary about the back shots he was giving you at the penthouse. So, Andy gets worked up to the point where she tries to slap Hudson and he quickly grabs her hand. And I'm thinking, Andy's going to wish he had those reflexes at the end of the episode. But, hey, it's like Hudson said last week and to an extent this week, you always, pretty much anybody around you, anybody who's has you in their life, they end up in a messy situation and they come out of the situation with you worse than how they started off. Yet you just walk away scot-free, no penalties, not a scratch on you. And I like that. That was truly a situation where I related to what Hudson said. I've been saying that since the beginning. This woman is a Mary Sue. So she eventually gets back to the penthouse and she's reflecting on everything. And she literally has a bit of a breakdown. Now, on the one hand, it was good acting, just like I gave Novi praise for her speech to Maurice last week. But from a character standpoint, I kind of don't care. With Sabrina, it's like you talk about when you're getting good karma and you're a rule follower and you're nice, but you're not a victim and you use people. So honestly, I don't know why you expect to have good karma. And as for Andy, I mean, this is season 8. How many times have we seen one of the fan pages put like a compilation together of the different times that Andy cries, because KJ actually shared it in her stories. I'm thinking like, Yeah, I mean, how many times we've had Andy break down over Gary, and he's like, I can't keep doing this, and he's this SOB and this and that. I know I need to do better, and I'm like, I don't care. I'll never be controlled or manipulated by a man again. Andy said to Gary in season 6, I believe she was drunk at the time, but when she sobered up, she did not change the way she felt, because when Gary said, well, I know you were drunk. Well, yeah, I meant what I said. Basically, she talked about how I knew that you thought you were using me, but I was actually using you, because the only reason I put up with your BS for as long as I did is because you're good in bed. She literally said that, and she meant that. And for her to say, I'm not going to be controlled or manipulated by a man again, yet you literally admitted to playing the game. So I don't know why all of a sudden you feel like you are being controlled and manipulated. You're not a victim, Andy. You're not, because you've had a number of times to get out of this. But Jeremy, what about the blackmail and ultimatum? This heifer could have told somebody about this long ago. So I don't feel bad at all. And also, even though I do appreciate the flashbacks last week, I thought it was pretty cool. This week, you could tell they were truly trying to fill up the runtime, because Andy was having the exact same flashbacks that she had in the previous episode. And even worse, they extended the flashbacks by showing us the same scenes from episode 4, when we had Andy in the hospital room. Gary wakes up and then has a seizure. Like, we did not need to see that again. Hell, we saw that in the opening recap of this episode. Dang, oh gosh. Then she gets a text from Jordan asking to come over. Man. All right, so then we get to the end of the episode. Actually, as Andy is preparing for Jordan to come over, she all of a sudden begins to think, wait, what if Jordan did it? And then she flashes back to the finale where it's like, we can run away together and this, that, and the third. But I don't know. This episode added like 4 or 5 other people to the suspect list. Then Penelope, I mean, I've already talked about it. You blew the video up. I mean, last I counted, hang on a second. Yeah, the video I did about the sneak peek from yesterday is over 14,000 views. Seriously, that's crazy. Less than a day. Well, less than half a day, but whatever. Penelope and Jordan show up. Man, you could just tell by the clip that it was going to be the final scene of the episode, and it really was. But Penelope comes in and she halts Andy from even, getting close to Jordan, and then she slaps the taste out of her mouth, and that was one heck of a way to end the episode. But I don't feel bad, because this is crazy, and I will do a separate video, because everybody's like, no, where was this hostile behavior from Penelope when she found out about Gary cheating and all this stuff? It's like, no, she's dumb. She was the one that went over to Gary, and I'm like, you have to look at it from her perspective. But again, that will be a separate video. But that was the only moment of the episode writing, worth talking about. So let's go over to the salon real quick. Like I said, we have 3 separate scenes, all involving the whole, hey, you ruin my edges. You either give me $400,000 or I'm going to sue. Then the chanting starts, and that was it. I don't really know what else to say. They cut back to this so many times. I'm like, why do we need to see this? Karen, well, Pam should have had the stuff tested, and I don't know. It's just that, like I said in another video I posted a few days ago, that it's sad that if Karen goes belly up with her salon because of this, she's going to be screwed over in more ways than one. Because remember, as far as I can tell, Pam still hasn't paid her back for utilizing like the company credit card and all this other stuff, basically freaking up the salon's finances for her own product. And now the product is going to be the potential downfall of the salon. So what is Karen going to do? It sucks. It really does suck. But that's the way it goes. Trey shows up, and some people are like, well, hey, he could be working with Vanessa because of the fact that, he probably knows from Pam that the billionaire Marie is trying to invest in the company. So what if it's a scheme where this chick, I went back and looked. No, Vanessa is not the same girl that Karen saw Trey with last season. No, different woman completely. But people are speculating, like, what if they're working together where it's like, hey, say the product messed up your hair, then try to sue and then get this money. Because it just does. I mean, for a person to just randomly show up, give me $400,000. Yet, yeah, you have your edges ruined, but that doesn't prove that it was their product. I mean, yeah, you could talk about your lawyer and whatnot, but okay, we can handle this professionally, or, call the cops, have you escorted out of the building, because I'll be damned if you come into my place of business starting a ruckus, go on live and get the whole salon chanting against you. Not to mention, who are these people? Were these women chanting all the customers who were already in the salon? Are they all newcomers? Because my thing is this: if I was a frequent customer, if I've been to the salon more than once and have used Roots to Riches, yet it hasn't messed up my hair, why the hell would I be standing up chanting along with Vanessa? This just seems too staged. So I don't know. It just seems, I don't know. But Marie shows up. Hayden's just an asshole now. I don't know why. I knew he was a slime ball, but they just made him completely irredeemable to the point that even when everything happens to him, I was like, yo, in the season 7 finale, y'all need to ease up on Hayden. He was catching way too many L's. There were other characters who could catch some flack, but he was catching all the L's in that episode. And I'm like, shit, man, come on. Hey, stop it. He's already dead. But now it's like, no, I don't care what happens now. It's not even funny how he's acting. It's just like, bro, do you believe your own hype this much that you clearly can't see that you are going to lose everything? Because you're treating Fatima like a dog. You honestly believe you're holding some sort of advantage or power over someone, because the arrogance with this dude is stupid, because he should be smarter than this. You automatically assume Andy's going down. You automatically assume. And I mean, if she was arrested or something, then oh man, then I could understand why he's being cocky. But you literally have no legs to stand on. Plus, Marie told you in the last episode that it's because of her you even still have this job. So for you to dismiss her and the Roots to Riches case, or the investment portfolio, why would you? Wait, also, why does Marie even have that business plan? Karen said that Karen told Pam she hasn't even come up with a plan yet to submit to Marie. So how would Marie even have this portfolio to hand over to Hayden to review? Continuity error? I don't know. Because remember, in the last episode, Karen had just arrived to the salon, and she was going to her office to start, and Pam was like, where's the business plan? Pam, I need to go to the office and work it out. This isn't something that can just be whipped up. I need to make it look professional and whatnot. And then it wasn't 30 seconds later, the disgruntled customer came in. So the business plan hasn't even been made yet. So I really don't know where Marie got it from. But yeah, I did a video. Oh yeah, this sneak peek came out Monday, so I already did a video talking about it. And for the most part, it played out the way I thought, that Hayden would completely miss Marie's point. And Marie was just, telling the truth in regards to the fact that you let your chip on the shoulder, the chip on your shoulder, your bruised ego, and your inability to trust your instincts because yours suck, they prevent you from moving forward in life. You're pretty much going to be stuck at the same level while you are just on the sidelines hating. Basically, Andy and whoever else, they're going to move ahead, and you're just going to be left behind because you think you have some sort of authority or, power over someone when you really don't. And then they go into the whole thing. Oh yeah, well, you can do things like Andy can't, like in the, bedroom and whatnot, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. So, then you have the Hayden Fatima lashing out, where Hayden just throws some low blows, mentioning, your mute child or whatever. I'm like, dang, man, you ain't had to do Michael like that. And then he does say something truthfully in terms of Andy's losing allies. But again, don't counter out just yet, because when everything blows up in your face, Hayden, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But then later on, we have Fatima on the phone with Zach, basically talking about the stress of work. and he has some Zacos. I did like this moment because when she eventually gets back to the house for lunch and Zach is trying to get her to eat the food, I'm like, wow, this is like Teddy and Meet Me Next Christmas, because he had a knack for making particular, recipes for food that people enjoy. So I thought that was pretty cool. Nice touch. But, Hayden is getting on Fatima for making personal calls, and Fatima tries to throw it in her face about, how, touchy-feely you and Marie are, but then Hayden rightfully counters, what about Andy? Seriously. Andy and all the people she slept with at work. Come on now. I mean, yeah, Hayden's bed hopping with the top client, but don't forget Andy was bed hopping with the top boss of the law firm. So just saying. But Fatima talks to Zach about how stressed work has her, and basically they add Robin, Marie, and potentially even Hayden to the suspect board. But then she has to immediately go to work, and I'm like, dang, I would have just stayed at the office, because she talked about how she had to fight ATL traffic. She only had 30 minutes to stay, but she barely stayed at the house for 30 seconds. Okay, folks, we're almost done. So Rich, we go over to the bank. Rich shows up to Sabrina's office. Now, he said he wanted to apply for a loan of $100,000. Some people in the live stream said, Jeremy, if you look at the scene, he was being sarcastic. I thought he was just being sarcastic about the amount of kisses he was going to give her, but whatever. But then we have a falling out between Maurice and Paige over a pen. What did she call her? Pink Kesha. And Maurice literally made me laugh, because what do you say? Child, she throwing a fit over a dang pen. Her best friend is a pen. Her most prized possession. What kind of person, her best friend is a pen? Talk about a real pen pal. That was cheesy, but I did laugh out loud. That was literally funny. But then, Sabrina's the referee and has to stop him. And from there, Rich wants to have lunch, but she can't because, work is really backed up. And then if she leaves, Paige and Maurice are probably going to kill each other, so she can't go. And she mentions, like, look, just meet me at the house after work, be naked. And I'm thinking, like, why would you want him naked? Jeremy, you're an adult. You should know. Yeah, I know, but didn't Sabrina say that no sex for like 2 or 3 weeks or something because of the whole egg thing? So she can't be penetrated because it's going to hurt. So, yeah. Not sure what's going on there. But then a call comes through from Danny. She's at the steam plant drinking, and Sabrina has to go down there and get her because, I did feel kind of bad for Danny. She mentions that her therapist, Kresha, wasn't, had to tell her to dial, kind of dial it back on all the texts and phone calls, because I'm your therapist when we have our sessions, but I'm not your 24/7 therapist. Basically, hold it, whatever goes down, hold it to our next session. And it's kind of sad because now it's like Danny, and I'm not saying she's an addict, even though she, smokes and drinks a lot, but it's almost like Kresha was her drug, and it made her feel good to have somebody finally listen to her, give her reassurance and whatnot, and call her out when she rightfully needed to be called out. Basically, someone who wouldn't fold, not disrespect her, but basically told her what it was. It's almost like Danny finally had someone in her life who would tell her like it is, the same way she does to her girls. It's just that they don't listen. So on some level, it just goes to show that Danny really doesn't have a lot of reinforcement, emotional support within the sister circle, because notice how she really didn't have anybody to talk to other than her therapist. And yeah, Sabrina, but that's really not the same. So Sabrina goes down there, and I was thinking to myself, oh no, I bet Rich or somebody is going to be at the steam plant, catch Sabrina there, and then he's going to be in his feelings like, so you couldn't go to lunch with me, but you can go to lunch with your girl. Okay, I see how it is. But while he and Tony eventually show up, we really don't get a follow-up on that until the next episode, so I really can't speak on it. But Danny, they're really ruining the character, because now it seems like all the work she was doing in therapy is for naught, because now she's basically doing to Tony what she was doing to Preston. A seemingly good man who wants what's best for her, she immediately feels like they're trying to fix me. They don't like me how I am. And Sabrina, I gotta agree with Sabrina. Now, don't get me wrong. I do feel like Tony was out of pocket for signing Danny up for this program without at least talking to her first. But at the same time, thought it was a great opportunity. I mean, Sabrina was listening to Danny, and then it's like, I'm trying to figure out the part where, you know, what you're saying adds up. Like, I don't really see what Tony did wrong. And it's like, Danny just doesn't want to hear it. And then when she mentions Preston, it's like, well, that's a whole bag of worms, because she feels like she's trying to be changed by these men and molded. But I mean, heck, you could argue that Tony is trying to, quote unquote, change Danny way more than all Preston wanted to do was love her. And we saw that turned out. She didn't know what to do with a good man when she had it, because she wanted to be for the streets. But now you have a man that comes with a whole bunch of baggage, and like it or not, you had to change, because it's like, okay, I'm dating a dude who has 2 kids, and I'm dating a dude who has a bitter ex-wife. But now it's like, no, I'm not, no, my work, no. So, yeah. So then in the midst of their ranting, Tony and Rich show up, and that's about it. So, oh yeah, I did like it. I thought it was hilarious when Zach and Fatima were talking about, you know, the new suspects for the suspect board, and out of nowhere, Zach pulled up that picture and name for Robin, and I'm like, where do you get these photos from? So I thought that was pretty funny. But hey, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Let me know your thoughts on episode 5 in the comment section below. Like and subscribe. And my review last week did numbers. It did over 10,000. So hopefully this review does well too. So as always, thanks for the support, and I'll catch you in the next video.